Hi guys, so a lot of you have requested that I do a body typing, and I'm also going to do a color analysis on Zendaya. So Zendaya is obviously gorgeous and she looks amazing in a lot of different lines, so she can be really confusing to body type, and she also looks amazing in all kinds of different colors, so she can be very confusing to color type as well. If you are completely new here, I'll leave some links down below for you so that you kind of can get a sense of what's going on. And you certainly don't need to have any background knowledge to still hopefully enjoy this video. So a part of the reason why Zendaya is confusing is because she is tall. She is 5'10". And you guys know that there is a lot of information floating around about how only dramatics and flamboyant naturals and naturals can be that height. But as far as I'm concerned, height is not a factor whatsoever in terms of your body type. So my stance on this is that as long as your yin-yang balance is honored, then it really doesn't matter. So let's take a look at some images of Zendaya and try to see sort of what kinds of lines look best on her. So let's look at some outfits and just see what we think. And then also I did write up a style report for Zendaya, and you can take a look at it. I'll leave a link down below if you want to see what her answers are on the body types test, some explanations for that, her best lines, her colors, everything basically is in the style report, so you can download it below or look at it below, and you can also get your own style report, of course, through that page as well. So let's get into looking at some images of Zendaya. So you can see that she has some pretty long arms and legs, and she has some pretty narrow and long bones to her hands and feet as well. So she really pulls off these dramatic looks quite well, and this really looks amazing on her. This look also looks amazing on her. It's dramatic, all monochromatic, pretty stiff fabrics, geometric, so this is all a dramatic look. With this dramatic look specifically is that in this burgundy jacket is that it's very trendy, it's very edgy, and it just looks very, very cool. I'm kind of very biased by the color burgundy myself. I just absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite colors. And she just looks really, really great there. But when we just take a look at her in some dramatic lines that maybe aren't as edgy and as Instagram or Pinterest as this look is, you can sort of see that it looks maybe a little bit plain on her, and that minimal detailing is actually maybe not as flattering as we initially thought. And of course, when you take a look at her in this pure dramatic outfit, you can see that she doesn't really look like a dramatic wearing a dramatic outfit. She looks like another body type wearing a dramatic outfit. And I say this because something does look just a little bit off about the lines. I think she still looks pretty cute, but it just doesn't really look like a dramatic wearing dramatic. And you can see this is a dramatic wearing dramatic. Here's Tilda Swinton. She's actually a dramatic, and this is what dramatic lines should look like on a dramatic. And of course, when we compare them, it's not the same effect, it's not the same thing. And Tilda's bones and her bone structure just have a lot more visual weight, a lot more angularity overall than Zendaya's bone structure does. Next up, we have some flamboyant naturals. So flamboyant natural, this look again looks so cool on her, very sophisticated, very chic, very edgy, but at the same time, we can't really see any of her body there. So it's hard for us to say really what's going on with this look. We know that it looks pretty good. She does have those long arms and legs, so that really helps out with the long lines of the look. And I'll get to this later, she also has some natural bone structure in her face. So the only part that we do see is her natural bone structure in her face paired with the natural lines. We don't see her body, so this actually looks really, really good on her. But as soon as we take a look at her wearing some other flamboyant natural lines, like this is a really good example of a flamboyant natural dress that she could wear, you can kind of see that something looks just a teeny tiny bit off. and it just doesn't really look like someone wearing their own lines, even though it still looks pretty good on her. And this is why I say it is kind of confusing to body type her, because she does look so good in a lot of different lines. But with body typing, it's not so much about looking good in all kinds of different lines. It's really a question of your best lines. And of course, this is her in Flamboyant Natural lines, and this is what a Flamboyant Natural actually looks like in Flamboyant Natural lines. So here's Julia Roberts with that asymmetry, and that asymmetry of the dress draws the eye down with Julia Roberts, and it looks really nice because it takes some of that visual weight off of her shoulders and off of her arms as well, because Julia has really thick bones, right? And she has really long bones, so it gives her a very sensual look. So she can handle this kind of unconstructed, asymmetrical silhouette. But with Zendaya, that dress just kind of drags the eye down, and it kind of drags her down a little bit. It doesn't have the same effect. Of course, here's another example of her wearing Flamboyant Natural. Something just doesn't really seem right. It kind of just looks like it's hanging on her, like it doesn't really look that impeccable. But she still looks fine, don't get me wrong, but she just isn't really complimented by those lines. And then we have soft dramatic, because, you know, some people will complain. They'll say, you know, Miriam, you didn't mention romantic. You didn't mention X body type. So we'll go through soft dramatic. So soft dramatic, I think it's not her body type whatsoever. I think this look is really quite aging on her. I don't think it's doing her any favors. And again, you know, this is probably, she is gorgeous. This is probably like potentially one of her worst looks that she's ever had in her entire life. So this is just kind of like as bad as it gets for her. It's not very bad because she's gorgeous and everything, but it's definitely not doing her any justice, not doing her any favors. So next up we have romantic, and I really should not have looked, I should not have researched what people are sort of trying to type her online, but I had to for this video, and I really should not have, because I was so frustrated to see that people were saying that she has some romantic essence. And this is the thing with romantic, it's not online. There's so much stuff about confusing essence with body type, and they're two different things. So here we have, this is the image that was used, and you know, it's basically she is romantic, or she has some elements of romantic to her. And this just, it looks good. Again, Zendaya is really confusing because this looks good, and I completely agree, it does look pretty good. And it doesn't look as separate as it would on some other person. For some reason, I don't know exactly why. For some reason, it doesn't look as separate on her. But at the same time, this is not what a romantic would look like wearing romantic lines. This is what a romantic would look like wearing romantic lines, and in fact, this look that Zendaya is doing is not even a pure romantic look. It's kind of half soft natural with the dress. I would say that dress is more soft natural, her hair is more romantic. So that's another thing, right? People also get a little bit confused about soft natural versus romantic lines. So you can see that dress it has some long lines, and it has that low neckline, the draped neckline, and it's relatively minimal, and the lightweight fabric adds the yin. So that dress, I would say it's primarily soft natural, but her look overall, it could be seen as 50-50 because of the hair. So it does have some romantic elements, and the dress has some romantic elements, so it's not really a sort of a pure look, so to speak. And this is another thing, right? It's not so much about passing as another type or looking good in another type's lines. It's really about looking your personal best and bringing out your unique beauty. And I don't think that this really brings out her unique beauty. I mean, I can imagine if Rihanna was wearing this outfit to the same event as Zendaya was wearing this outfit to that same event, I can imagine that Zendaya would look relatively almost forgettable compared to Rihanna, because Rihanna is bringing out her unique beauty with her lines, but Zendaya is not really doing that. She is just wearing something that looks quite good on her, right? And as soon as Zendaya puts on And so she puts on some flamboyant gamine lines. She looks absolutely perfect, and I'll show you guys a lot of examples if you don't like this outfit. There are more outfits. She looks absolutely perfect. She looks stunning, and she looks very, very chic and very uniquely beautiful, and that's the key. So she looks very uniquely beautiful, and if she came to the same event as Rihanna, they would both be quite memorable in their own unique beauty, and that's really the key here. It's not so much about pulling off different lines and therefore you have elements of a different type. It's not really like that. And remember that look that I showed you guys before with the dramatic lines and how she looked pretty good? Then, you know, you could say, yeah, she looks pretty good. But at the same time, when she adds some color blocking, then that looks even more harmonious with that sort of monochromatic blue look. So that looks even better on her, and it really ties in her face. It just ties in everything. All of the lines of her body are in harmony. Her face, as well as her bone structure, as well as her figure, everything is in harmony there. And with the dramatic look, her head looks kind of separate from that dramatic look. So that's what we don't want. We want to bring harmony to the entire look, including our face, including our figure, including our skeleton, bone structure, everything, and bring it all together. And that's what's going to create that effect of wearing your own lines. And that's also going to be the difference for her when she looks back in 10 years or something like that at these two photos. The one on the left is going to look like she is quite retro maybe, or, you know, oh, it was taken 10 years ago, but she really knows what she's doing. But then the look on the right, I would suspect that it might even look retro and maybe a little bit dated, and also it might look like she was just following some trends, like someone copying an Instagrammer, right? If you guys haven't watched my video, why you should never copy an Instagrammer, this is one of the reasons too, is that yes, looking back, of course your looks will look a little bit dated or a little bit retro, but they're gonna look like you knew what you were doing. And the thing with trends is that they can sometimes obscure our sense of the lines and our aesthetics, because whenever we see a trend enough, we just think that that looks good on everyone, right? And we just kind of see that trend and we like it and we think it looks good on everyone. But again, it's not really going to stand the test of time in any way if it's not in line with your own body type. So here she is in another flamboyant gamine look, and she looks absolutely amazing. She looks perfect. I love the pixie cut. I love the boxy jacket, the animated print, and it all looks put together. It looks like that's what she should look like, right? It looks just perfect on her. And the mixture of yin and yang, the mixture of the sort of lacy dress and the pretty boxy jacket, that's another really good flamboyant gamine type of element to add into your style if you are a flamboyant gamine. And here we have another boxy shape. So the boxy shape is a bit yang, but then the mixture of opposites is that it's short, so that's yin. So it looks amazing on her. This kind of boxy shape would not look good on a dramatic, the short boxy dresses. No, that would not look good. It wouldn't look good on a flamboyant natural whatsoever, at all, ever. And now we have this other look where she has some pretty bright colors, and she has those really statement pants that look amazing on her, and that looks perfect on her. And I think she also looks really chic here where she is just wearing monochromatic. Big surprise, right? Monochromatic, but it works on her because she has those cropped pants, but they're still kind of stiff and man-tailored, and she also has the stripe, and she has those chunky earrings, which are also good for flamboyant gamine. So I think she looks really chic there, and sort of minimal and very sophisticated. Something a bit more avant-garde. Of course, she looks amazing here. Flamboyant gamine can easily pull off these kinds of looks. Again, imagine for all of these looks, imagine whatever body type you were considering for her, pulling off a look like this. And, you know, this just looks absolutely perfect on her. And, you know, you could consider, oh, well, maybe she might be soft gamine because she has those soft facial features. I don't think she's soft gamine at all. She doesn't have that softness to her figure. And you can see how here when she wears soft gamine, it's it does start to get into not bringing out her unique beauty as much as her own flamboyant gamine lines do. So here it might look just a tiny bit almost plain on her compared to her own lines. Of course, a pretty effortless look. This is also flamboyant gamine, and I think that looks really harmonious on her, and I love this dress on her. Again, the mixture of opposites, a rounded shape for the yin, but then a very stiff fabric for the yang, and that just looks so cool on her. And I also really love this dress. So this dress is interesting because a lot of people might say, and I haven't heard anything, but I feel like a lot of people might say, oh, this is a theatrical romantic dress. She is a theatrical romantic. Let's just sort of break down the lines of this dress. So it has a plunging, very, very dramatic v-neck. So that's a lot of yang there. It has a pretty stiff texture, very stiff fabric, another element of yang. It also has the shape of the skirt. The skirt is stiff, and the shapes of the skirt are kind of triangles, right? They're kind of geometric. They're not soft and frilly like they would be for a romantic. The dress, if it were made of chiffon or silk or something, like a thin silk, then it would be maybe theatrical romantic, but even then, that plunging v-neck is really not for theatrical romantics at all. So this dress, okay, we talked about the yang, now let's talk about the yin. So it looks like it might be made of lace, so that's yin, and it also has some waist emphasis, so that's yin. So actually this dress has more yang elements to it than yin. And of course, she looks very sexy in it because it's actually a flamboyant gamine dress, but it's just a sexy flamboyant gamine dress. So this is the thing with confusing essence with body type, or confusing a certain style with a body type, is that it's not so much, it's just not, it's just not the same thing. It's the thing, it's not body type, and your lines are just a set of lines. They're not a certain style, so you can look sexy as a flamboyant gamine, just like she's doing here. You can look edgy, you can look sophisticated, and all kinds of different things, all within your own lines. So that is a flamboyant gamine dress, and Lily Collins actually did something very similar, and she also looks very, very sexy. And you can see that it's, again, that plunging v-neck. Lily Collins is doing the same thing. We have a plunging v-neck, but we have some added yin because of the sparkles on the dress and because of the waist emphasis. But then her hair is really stiff, so maybe a theatrical romantic could pull it off, but because her hair is stiff here, it just reads as a little, it adds a touch of yang to her hairstyle too. And I think she looks really amazing here. So why is Zendaya flamboyant gamine? What's actually going on? If you're still here, you're like, what is going on, right? So let's actually take a look at her body's lines, and just take a look at her body, take a look at her bones, her face, and really try to understand what's going on. So you can see, and again, I wrote it all up in the style report, so you can take a look below if you want to see all of her answers and how I explained everything. But you can see that she has a short vertical line. Now, I didn't know too much about Zendaya before I started researching her for this video, and when I first saw images of her, I would have guessed she was maybe like 5'6", 5'5", 5'4", you know? I thought she was shorter, and that's because her head is bigger in proportion to her overall height. And you can see that image, so you can see this image here. That is a low angle, so she should actually look quite tall. So this is a low angle, so she's supposed to look taller, but she still doesn't really look that tall. And her figure is also pretty straight, right? So she has more like yang answers to her figure, and her face is, and again, I hesitate to call it a soft natural face because there's no such thing as a soft natural face. She has a flamboyant gamine face because it's attached to a flamboyant gamine body. But if the rest of her bone structure was in line with her facial bone structure and her facial features, she would be soft natural. But I also have a video called Same Face, Different KIbbe Type, where I talk about how two ladies have the same exact face and have a different body type. So if you're interested in that, check that out. I'll link it below. But you can see that she has a soft, natural face. So she has some wider cheekbones. She has a wider nose with some blunt angles. And she also has a pretty bluntly angular jawline. And on top of that bone structure, she also has some soft flesh. So she has some soft cheeks, she has some full lips, and she has some upturned eyes that are close together. So all of her facial features are yin dominant. So let's recap. What is flamboyant gamine defined as? Flamboyant gamine has more yang than yin, also has yin dominant facial features, yang dominant facial bones, yin dominant stature, so that's the short vertical line, and yang dominant figure. So that's basically exactly Zendaya. That's exactly Zendaya. And I don't care if she's 5'10", because we've seen that it's consistent with the yin-yang balance and the yin-yang placement of the body type, and we've also seen that she looks absolutely spectacular and perfect in flamboyant gamine lines. I actually had a client who was a bit taller, and she had a similar situation to Zendaya. She actually did not look tall at all. I told her, you know, you look like you're 5'3", and I don't know what her actual height was, but she is quite tall, and she was really confused because she was thinking that she was dramatic, but she was not dramatic. She was flamboyant gamine, and then it all came together for her and it really clicked. So this is the thing, don't discount any body type because of your height. Explore every single body type. Explore that one body type that you thought you were not, and see if that fits you. So that is all I have to say for part one. Part one of this is, of course, the body typing, and I'll upload part two in a few days about Zendaya's coloring, so stay tuned for that. And there will be some spoilers because you guys can take a look at the style report, but I'll upload it in a few days to show you guys some photos and hopefully have some fun with that as well. So if you are still confused about your body type, of course, you can order your own style report. And of course, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts, let me know if you might have discounted some body types because of your height or because of some other feature. You know, don't discount a body type because of any one feature, ever. Always explore all of your options and always try the lines. I have a video called Confused by the KIbbe Test, Try This, and I highly recommend you watch it if you are still confused. And I will talk to you guys next time.